Good afternoon from a very hot and sweaty Munich, Germany. My name is Philip Wharton. I'm a trainer with itslearning, and you may not have seen me before, but we all help each other out here at itslearning, and I was asked to lead this webinar today on Back to School 2023. As I said, my name's Philip Wharton. My name's there on the screen. Hopefully you can hear me and see me. We're a very small group today so far. There might be some more people arriving, but do please drop in the chat any questions that you have as we go along, and I'll do my best to answer those. And also do please let me know where you are in the UK, and if you're a teacher or if you're an administrator, that would be really helpful for me to know as well. So do let me know. As I said, I'm in Munich in Germany. I am an educational consultant. I was also a teacher for a long time. I worked for 12 years as a teacher. I was then a school leader for 10 years, and latterly I was a head teacher of an international school in Western Germany, and I moved down here to the south last year. Yeah, mostly working from home, doing lots of trainings for itslearning. So it gives me great pleasure to talk with you this afternoon. Our subject, as you can see, is Back to School 2023. Some information for teachers, for administrators, and then also at the end, just briefly, we're going to touch on what's new and what's next in itslearning, so that you've got a bit more information about changes that are happening with the platform. I'm going to turn my camera off so you've got a bit more space, and I'll reappear later. But of course, I'll remain in the background. So let me just find my notes here. We're going to do this webinar, and then we'll stop the recording and I can answer the questions that you have. So please remain on mute, drop questions in the chat, and then we can answer them, well, I can answer them at the end. Also, remember that this webinar is being recorded, and it will be published where you registered if you want to re-watch it later, or if you want to tell your colleagues and let them know what was discussed today. The time plan is that we are together for a maximum of an hour. It might well be that we finish a little early. It depends how many questions you have, really. And so, yeah, let's just jump in. And we are going to be considering first the back to school rollover for teachers. For teachers, first, admin section will come later, but for teachers, the rollover, the back to school process is not an automatic one. You need to do something with your courses and the people in your courses. So you need to ask yourself, really, what do you want to do with your courses? Of course, up until now, you're going to have been working with them, and you may well want to copy them, the courses, so that you can use them again next year. Other questions you might have as you're pondering next year and the new school year coming up is what happens with an old course that I no longer need. Do I need to keep it? Questions like that may well come up for you. So in short, what are your options as you get ready for the new school year coming up? And we're going to explore those a little bit today. So I'm going to jump into the platform now. Just a little caveat, if you do see anything in German today on my platform, don't worry, it's not some glitch in the system, it's because I work here in Germany, as I've mentioned, and most of my platform is in German because I work in German, but this part I'm showing you today is stuff I've prepared in English, but there might well be certain things you see in the background that are in German. So don't worry about those two languages. It's perfectly normal for me, and it's perfectly normal for the platform. We are here logged into the platform as Jenny Rattray. She's one of our teachers, a demo teacher, and she is an English teacher. She's pretty new to the school. She's just got these 3 courses that she has set up. And basically she wants to take this plan with her into her new school year, into the next school year. So the question is, how does she do that? How can she take a course with her and use it in the next school year? To do that, what she is going to do, she's going to copy this persuasive writing course here. And to do that, she clicks on courses, and she is then going to make a new one. And she's going to call her new course. It's going to be persuasive writing again, and she's going to make sure that it's clear that it's for the next school year. Now what she's going to do is she's going to use this button here. She's going to use the Browse Templates button, and she's going to make this new course using a template of an old one. I'll explain why later. So she's going to browse templates, and she's going to use her current persuasive writing course and use it as a template. You get some questions here. She's asked if the dates in the current course from this school year, are going to be copied over. Maybe she wants to do that because she wants to teach it at the same time in the year. I'm not going to choose that option for now. She also can be sent a message, sent an email when the course is created, because it does take a while sometimes if there's lots of content for the course to be copied over. She's going to choose a nice color for the new persuasive writing course and create it. The spinning wheel up here means that the copying process is happening. The old course, the one that is existing from this school year, is now being copied into this new one. Under More and Participants, she can see that only she is the person who is in this course right now, and of course she's going to then copy over, she's going to add pupils, students to this course as time goes along, probably after the summer holidays, I imagine. She might want to add participants sooner, but normally new students will be added to the new course after the summer holidays. You may well have seen this new course participants page. This has just been added by itslearning. An update recently changed this area to make it a lot more easy to use, which is great. And we see now that the spinning wheel has stopped, which means that the course has been copied over. We can see in our new course, in our Persuasive Writing 23-24 course, we have plans that have been copied over. The resources that were in the plan from this school year have been copied over. But what hasn't been copied over are any of the reports, any of the students' results that were recorded in the past course. And as we've already seen, the students are also not in the course. But as I mentioned, the plans have been copied over. They're without date right now. So if she wanted to, then Jenny could add dates to these courses, to these plans. And once more, she'll use the More and Participants page to add new pupils in the new school year to this course. This is a really good time to think about how you name your courses. We've named ours 23-24 here. Maybe you want to do that as a whole school discussion. Think about that from the learner's perspective. Is the way that you name the courses as a school, is it student friendly? Again, it's a really good time at the end of the school year to consider those kind of questions. And if you do want to think about changing the name of the courses to make it more student friendly perhaps, then do so under More and Course Properties, and then you can change the name of your course here. It's a really good idea as well, as we've seen here, is to choose this option at the bottom of the page and to share your course as a template. You can share it with an organisation of your choosing, depending on the settings of your school. And then this new course will then be available as a template for you to use in the future. And you can then copy over from year to year. We can also make a new course, and we can borrow that course, not borrow it, we can copy it from a co-worker. Again, persuasive writing 23-24. And this time, under Browse Templates, I'm going to choose Course Templates. And here, some German has crept in here, as you see. Here we have a list of courses from my co-workers that I can also use as a template. Another option, of course, is that a teacher of one of these courses here can invite you to be a part of the course by adding you as a participant to that course. If you hear some growling in the background, that's my dog who's decided to play with his ball and get some attention. So I do apologise if you hear some slight squeaking. We're going to go back to our presentation here and look at the next part of our presentation. And this is all about this year's courses. So the courses, we're coming to the end of the school year now, of course, and we're considering the question, what do we do with all of those courses that we made this school year, or perhaps even last school year? Perhaps we don't need the course anymore. Perhaps we want to keep the course as a reference for later use, or we want to keep the course as a reference for later use, and we also want the participants of that course to see it. So the question then is, do we want to keep the course, do we want to delete the course, or do we want to archive it? Let's go back to the platform. So I'm logged in again as Jenny. And first, let's archive the course for future reference. So I'm going to use this course here. This is the one from this school year, and I'm going to put it into the archive. Now, how I do that is quite simple. I click More and Settings here, and the course properties, and I click on these three dots here and I move it to the archive. It asks you whether you really want to do it. Yes, I do. And it's then gone into the archive. I do apologise about my dog making lots of noise in the background. Okay, I am back. So, to find this course, because we now, if we go back to home, it's disappeared, it's gone to the archive, and to find it, what I do is I click on Courses, All Courses, and here I can filter what I see. So I've pressed here the filter button, archived, and it's here under archived courses. I can also unarchive it if I want to make it active again, but here it is in archived. Now the question is, do I want the participants to still see this course? If I do want the participants to see it, then I need to do a little bit of preparation. But if I don't, then I simply delete the students from the course. So I don't want anyone who's in this course right now to see it anymore. It's gone to the archive, and I don't want them to see it. So what I do is I click on participants, and I highlight all the participants apart from Jenny because she's the teacher, and under actions I can then remove them from the course. I don't want to do that right now, but that's how you would delete them from the course. Perhaps, however, you do want them to still see the course. The course will still be archived, but the students can still see it, can still access it if they need to. Perhaps they want to do some revision, etc. If they want to check in with a plan that they were working on before last school year, they wanted to do an exercise again, then you can still allow them to see it. So what we do is you look under groups, and we see here that these students were added as an organization group by the symbol here. And this group would be synchronized by the administration in the school. That means that should a new pupil arrive in the group, then they'd be added to the course automatically. That obviously wouldn't make any sense if we're thinking about an archived course. This course is from the last school year, so we don't want new pupils to see it. So what we need to do is to separate the organisation from the list of pupils, but without deleting them from the course. To do that, we click on the three dots and we remove the automatic update. That means if we do that, we remove this automatic update, that means then all the students stay in the group, but the new ones that come to the school don't get added to the course, the archived course. What you could do is simply delete the course. If you don't want the course anymore, you're done with it, then you can quite simply go to settings. You can click on course properties and simply delete the course. Where does it go? It goes to the paper bin, and the admin at your school, the administration, can fish it out for you from the paper bin. So there'll be a quarantine time of normally 30 or 40 days in itslearning before the course will be completely deleted. And in that time, then the admins can fish it out for you. So to summarize, you have choices. You need to think about, as a teacher, whether you don't want your courses anymore, then delete it. If you want to keep your course as a reference, then archive it. But remember, in option 3, if you do want the participants to still have access to it, then you'll need to separate the automatic updates. You might ask as well, why do I need to copy the course? Why can't I just delete the participants in this year's course and add new pupils instead? Well, the answer to that is that data can be kept from old pupils, from the pupils from this school year. So if you were to just simply delete the list of pupils from the academic year 22-23 and instead then add a new participants list, data from the 22-23 pupils could still remain in the course. So it's always best to copy the old courses so that you can be sure that the pupil data is gone from the past. That's the end of the teacher section. We're going to do the administration next. Again, please do write any questions that you have in the chat, and we can go through those questions at the end of the session. So we're going to move on now to the admin. The admin section of today's webinar is perhaps a little less relevant for teachers, but do stick around because at the end of this section I'll be moving on to touch on what we are updating in the platform, what's coming up next. So for administration, you've got a checklist here, and also you have my email address on the slide. You are welcome to email me with any questions. That goes for the teachers as well. If you have any questions about back to school, the rollover for the new school year. We're going to be looking at deleting old courses, emptying the paper bin, whole school messages, and then thinking about finally updating the user lists that you have in the platform. So I'm going to pop on over back to the platform again now. And instead of Jenny, we now have Mr. Admin, and here is the administration section of the platform that you may well have seen before. I'm sure if you're an admin, you'll be very familiar with it. And the sections that you want to consider, again, are the trash can, delete any courses that have been put into the trash can, look in the courses area here. You get a list of your courses, and you can see when they were created, when they were updated, or last visited. And of course, if you've got courses that are very old, then it may well be time to delete those. And of course, if you've got a teacher who has left your school, perhaps it might be high time to delete their courses if they're no longer needed. Have a look also in the mass messaging section. I haven't sent any mass messages, but if you have at your school, then you might want to avail yourself of the delete function here just to clean up a bit of storage in your platform. Think about also how you want to train the new staff. Perhaps you've got new staff joining your school. How are you going to train them to use the platform? And finally, another question to consider is, if you are leaving the school as administrators and moving on, how are you going to train the new school admins? All questions to consider as you approach the end of the year. The last thing for the admins to consider is class lists in the platform, dealing with leavers and new starters, and rolling over the participants to the new school year. Every school is different, of course. For some, the rollover may happen automatically, but for others, there will need to be some work done manually to update the class lists. And this can be done one of two ways. So you can update the hierarchy, you can update the hierarchies manually. Let me just, there we are, that's the one I wanted. So you can update the hierarchies manually. You can change the name of a year group who are leaving, say it's year 7 here who are leaving, then you can change their name here to leavers, and then in turn update the names of all the other year groups. So year 7 becomes year 8, year 8 becomes year 9, and so on. Under users here, you can then find this hierarchy of leavers, and you can then delete those leavers. You can also check that everyone is where they should be. Any repeaters or class changers must be found, and they have to be put into their new organization groups as well as deleted from their old ones. Once that's all done, then you can import the new children only into the platform using a new CSV document, which has only the new children in it. And because you've changed the hierarchies, those year group terminologies, then the students are where they should be. So that's the first way to do it. The other way is to update the original CSV document that was used to import users into the platform. So you would remove the leavers here under hierarchies as before. And then next, what you do is you go back to the hierarchy section and delete all of the year groups and all of the individual classes. So here, I know it's in German, I do apologize. Perhaps it's easier if I use this one. There we are. So all you'd be left with then is staff and students, or however you term this in your school. You would include any students' hierarchies that are under this section, such as year 7, year 8, year 9, you would delete. So you would only be left with these two sections. It doesn't mean that you've deleted your pupils from the system. The pupils are still there, only these hierarchies have been removed. Once you've done that, a new current CSV document has to be imported. I imagine that would come from your school's system, and it would be updated with new users. And the new year group, and the new classes, which are updated for the new school year, would then be included in that CSV document. So the system automatically create the new hierarchies for your students. And the existing users that are currently in your school, those users will be synchronized, as you will have used the same ID number throughout for each individual. One thing to remember is that itslearning is additive, if you will. You really have to go that extra mile to delete users from the system. This is a really good thing about the system. It's pretty difficult to delete people from it. So what you need to do when you're considering students that have left is find those users who have left in your CSV document, delete them there, and then go to the platform and delete them there as well. So you effectively need to delete them twice before you do your new import. So once you've deleted everybody then who's left, then you can add the new ones. Just going back to our checklist then, we've looked quickly at all of these sections. Do think about how you'll train new users and train new admins, and also how you're going to update the user list in the platform. If you do have questions, my email address is here. You're very welcome to contact me. A quick check of our agenda. So we're thinking about teachers and admins. We've done that. And the last section today is about what's changed and what's next in terms of the platform updates. So you've already seen updates to the participants page here. Here is the participants page. You may well have seen this. Well, have seen this in your own platforms. We've made it much easier to add participants with a click, and you can also add organization groups, which used to be called hierarchies. Those are now known as organization groups, such as a class or a lesson group, and those can be added simply by clicking here. They can be added to a course. Teachers can only add standalone groups to the course. That means that you as teachers can't add a whole group structure, so that reduces the risk that teachers, for example, inadvertently add the whole school to a course, which I've known happened in the past. That can't happen for a teacher anymore. You've also got handily here a course group section. So within the list of participants in a course, you can create course groups very easily. Yeah. And there are also obviously other tools that you can use in the platform to create course groups, but you can do that here all in one place. Also, a new button that has been included in the recent update is this one here, the Use Ready-Made Content. And what that means is you can open your plans and you can take already made content from other plans that are in your platform. So what you can select to bring into the course depends on the context you're in. If you are in current plans or past ones or those without dates, you can add plans. If you are working here under topics, you can add whole topics by clicking ready-made content. And if you're working within an existing topic like I am here, then you can add plans again. So here I am working in a current topic, and I can choose to use ready-made content, as in content from a different course, and I can select and import from a different course. There are also updates coming to the survey tool and also to the test tool. Those updates will be coming over the summer, and so do expect, if you use the survey tool and the test tool, do expect to see some updates to them. Releases will be publicized and you'll be kept fully informed, of course, of changes. And why changes are happening is to make the whole platform much more accessible. So the developers are keeping the platform looking modern and fresh, but also are working hard to make it accessible for all users. And I've seen the survey tool, a preview of that, the new survey tool, and it really does look fantastic, and it is much easier to use. So that's a really positive change coming. Last but not least, I want to thank you for your participation and for listening today. As you know, I'm in Germany, so I've chosen to say Dankeschön and Auf Wiedersehen. And again, my email address is here. You can send me any questions that you want to. I'm also just putting in the chat 2 links. The first is that I've just put in is general information about back to school. That's a support article written specifically for the UK group of itslearning users, and that's a general information about back to school for 23-24. And the second one that I've just included, hopefully the link works, I might try that again because it didn't seem to have worked, is the It's Learning roadmap. And that, no, it's not going to work. The link isn't working, but you can find the It's Learning roadmap on our website. And that roadmap gives you information about all the updates that are that have already happened and those that are upcoming. Does anyone have any questions at the moment? Lots of info, I know, but hopefully it will make your back to school journey one that is a smooth ride, and you can think about what to do with your courses if you're a teacher, and also if you're an admin, then you've got your cleanup to do and your rollover of pupil lists as well. Don't hesitate to contact me using my email address. If you would like more information, we can all set up an online meeting if you would prefer that. I'd be happy to meet with you. And once again, Dankeschön for taking part in today's webinar. And I wish you a lovely afternoon.